Hello, hello, hello. Hi.
Hey, yeah.
So welcome to the Lendish chat room.
Hey. Wow, I feel
So
like I'm some cozy lounge.
that's nice. That's nice. What is it you're sipping on?
It's literally water in a Starbucks cup. Because I was like, it's supposed to be a coffee chat, but I don't drink coffee, so I'm just gonna.
Well, if it's any consolation, I just have sparkling water. So okay,
Okay.
we're good. We're good. So welcome to the Lendish chat. For those of you who are watching for the first time, the Lendish chat is essentially um, an arm of Lendish, which is a financial resource platform for international students in the US. And this chat room is supposed to be like a safe space where international students from all around the world could come together, get ideas about how to navigate wealth, health, and just the international student space as a whole. And I have the pleasure of speaking with my very first special guest today, who's technically not a guest. Um, she happens to be my co-founder and also design lead at Lendish. So I'll just give you a little bit of history about Emanuela's background. She's a design and business administration student at IIT, Institute of Design, if I'm getting that correctly, right?
Yeah, spot on.
And so, yeah, I'm glad to be having this first talk with you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thanks for that warm introduction. Hello, everyone.
So, I'll just pretty much dive into it and tell everyone. Basically, the format is going to be 5 questions for our guests, right? The idea
Yeah.
is to get their experience, and hopefully you get something beneficial from it. It's going to be the same 5 questions every week. However, because it's a unique experience for everyone, you get to learn something new whenever you're listening. So that would be interesting. So I will start with my very first question. They say always start with the why, right? So I'm starting with the why. And my
Okay.
very first question is why you made the decision to come to the US to get an education. Why do you think it was the best place to get an education, basically?
Ah, interesting question because I didn't think it was the best place. um, so I can remember how my journey started. I was in high school, my final year of high school. But for people who are familiar with Nigeria, I'm an international student from Nigeria, by the way. Um, and so our system is different. I was in my final year in secondary school, and secondary school is like a 6 year um, tenure. So I was in my final year, and it was the time to sort of pick your career path. It's funny how you leave that in the hands of like a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old and say, this is the time where you have to figure out things that would basically shape or mold your life in the future. Um, so I remember I had been part of like a lot of projects, whether it was like projects at school or because I went to a Catholic school, we also had like chapel projects. Um, so I was very, very industrious. So a lot of people said, you know what, you do great if you just go to school for art. But there was something inside of me that was like, why would I go to school for art? It's something that I already know how to do. Like, what am I going to go to school to do? Um, so the eureka moment was, I remember, it was this particular night in the school library. I was really angry with someone or something. I can't remember right now. All I remember is walking into the library, taking out a huge encyclopedia. It was Americana. And I was just like flipping across the pages. And then I saw a picture of a guy working on a prototype for a car. And I was like, whoa, this is okay, this is cool. I've never seen this before. And so I read that whole um article, or like that whole thing. And come to my surprise, it was actually industrial design.
Mhm.
So it was my first exposure to industrial design. I was like, okay, this is weird, but it seems like this is something that I really want to do. Because although I was an artist, I also had like an engineering mindset. So at home, I would like take things apart and put them together, and a lot of people did say, oh, like you do well as a mechanical engineer. But I'm like, no. So I found this like nice, comfortable space with industrial design because it was a mixture of both art and engineering, which brings me back to my second part of this story. So I'm like, yeah, I found it. I'm going to be an industrial designer. And then I told my parents, and they're like, okay, so we have confirmed that we finally have a confused daughter because she does not know what to do in her life. So I had to do, and it's like the way my dad works is, if you want something, you have to convince him. So you have to come with your research, your facts. Is this proven? Can you do it? Do you have the willpower? And so I remember like being 16 and drawing out like different pictures and presentations and be like, you know what? I am going to do this for the rest of my life. And although I may not understand the full picture, but I feel this inclination towards industrial design. And
Mhm.
so that's how I started my path. Come to find out that like the place that had the best industrial design program was in the US. And
Okay.
so that's how I landed here. I didn't have like some childhood dream of, coming to the US and doing crazy things. I was just your average, I don't want to say your average Joe, but your average Jill. Yeah.
I
And
must,
so,
I must imagine it must have been a huge responsibility to like put on a 16-year-old to make all that decision, like without
yeah.
some type of guidance, I'm guessing. Right?
Yeah. And it was like a cause of concern because I do remember like some of my parents, friends telling them like, hey, why would you spend so much money sending your daughter, it's a picture at Google Society, your daughter to go study design? Isn't that a waste of money? But my parents are different. They weren't like your traditional African parents. So they're like, well, if this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, we're going to support you. And yeah, that's how I landed in Chicago
Yeah,
in the
so
year 2015.
oh, nice, nice. Yeah. I was It's actually a perfect segue to my next question because I'm wondering, living your life somewhere to be home with your family, friends, and all that, and then coming to a place where I don't know your situation, so it'd be interesting to find out, but just it's different from home.
Mhm.
So like I want to know how life back home compared to when you got here. What would you say was different essentially?
Yeah. So when I made that decision to pursue industrial design as my undergrad program,
Hmm.
I was essentially going into uncharted territory, not just like a foreign country, but a foreign educational system, a foreign everything. Like even I still remember like my first day of class and being so shocked that um it wasn't like our educational system back in Nigeria where your teachers would sort of like tell you what to do,
Hmm.
and you have to like cram a bunch of like textbook definitions to like pass an exam. But this was more so going to school and school feeling like the real world. where you had to make decisions by yourself. Like literally, the professor would come, give you like a design brief or a project and say, hey, like come up with this. You have Google, you have YouTube, you have like all these resources available to you. So let's see what you come up with. That was definitely a shocker to me because it took me time to really understand like, hey, like your teacher is not this like god or this like authoritative figure, but they're sort of like your assistants in your
Jiminy Cricket, your guide, essentially.
yeah, like your guide. So um that was one different thing when I came here. There was also the part where I felt like now I understand, but it was such an individualistic society in the sense that like I grew up in community. Like I cannot even imagine a world coming outside and not being greeted by like people across the street. Oh, like how's your brother doing? Or like, you know, when people ask you how are you, they're not just like saying how are you, but they really want to know how you're feeling or how you're doing. But here it was so different. Like someone would say how are you and they would just like pass and like you didn't even wait for me to complete my sentence. um yeah, so that was shocking. And it was definitely something that I had to learn. Just, you know, giving people like their personal space. I had a lot of issues. A lot of issues. Like it didn't feel like it was different because it was the norm back there. But when I came here, then I noticed that, oh, like you're actually different. Like I was the kind of person that loved to give hugs to even strangers. Like I don't care. I if I was really close to you, if you were like my friend, I would like share your food or like just share anything. But then I got into some weird arguments.
You don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
I actually had a follow-up question because it seems
Okay.
that most of the things that you've been experiencing or you experienced when you came here, they were mostly not so pleasant, right? What would you say was, I want to ask sort of like a two-sided question, one on the positive side and on the negative side. What would you say was the most shocking thing, essentially?
Most shocking. Ooh, most shocking.
We could start with the positive.
Oh, okay. Let's start with the positive. Dude. The most shocking thing was the fact that you could go to sleep, wake up, and NEPA will not take lights.
That was so. For those of you who don't know what NEPA is, NEPA is the electric provider or electricity provider in Nigeria. So I guess that's
Yeah.
a surprise to find that power outages don't just happen like every just spontaneous period or throughout the day. What about your negative experience then?
Negative experience. Um, I had a lot of negative experiences. Like,
The most shocking.
yes, one. Um, the biggest one, I think for me, like this is also coming from the fact that I was a sheltered kid. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Although we may have started in not, I wouldn't say like I was born with a silver spoon, but my parents or my mother especially made it feel like we had $1 billion because like we didn't notice that it was any we didn't notice that it was anything wrong. Um, so I do remember when, well, at least for me, the biggest shock was just the fact that a few days after my parents had, you know, said, bye, we're going back to Nigeria. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know, I thought I was going to be Gucci because I had gone to boarding school from the age of 9. So I was used to like not being around my parents and only being with them for like 3 months in a year. Um, but when they left, I realized that like, hey, like you have automatically like become an adult because it's not like I had anyone that I could look up to, both in life and in school. Like it was my first time for a lot of things. So
Mm,
definitely, I will say like I remember I was 17 and I'm like, okay, so like you have to make like big decisions for yourself.
yeah.
No one's going to tell you, hey, wake up at 8 a.m. for your 9 a.m. class or like do this. Like nobody's going to tell you that. So you just kind of have to like figure things out.
Mm.
Even I remember going to Walmart and trying to do grocery shopping just by myself. And when I got there, I was like, "Ah, why is it that I remember I was like, I budgeted for $150, but I'm going to the counter and it's saying 180. Like, what's going on? So the cashier the cashier had to explain to me. She was like, that you have to pay taxes. And
Taxes.
so for me, I'm like, taxes, like, why do you if something is $5, like tell me it's $5. Don't say it's 3.90. Like it's counter is $5. What's going on here?
Just go.
Um yeah, so that was also shocking. So yeah, like things like that, I had to like learn for myself. And I know for a lot of people like watching this channel, it's going to be your first time for a lot of things. But there's always like a benefit in having people who have already gone through the process to like
Yeah.
help you through it.
Yeah.
But for me, I kind of wish that I had some big brother or some big sister. And I suffered though.
And so I guess now with all those experiences that you've had, like what was the one thing, just one thing, because I don't want it to be too long or too laborious for you to come up with something, but what's that one thing that you wish you knew before coming here that would probably have made your experience different?
One thing I wish I had. Okay, one thing I wish I knew was the power of network. You know how they say like your net worth is determined by your network. I wish I knew that. And I'm saying this from because when I was in undergrad, we used to have like networking events, but then I never really understood what it meant to like network with people because I'm like, I don't know you. Why would I just go and say, oh, my name is Manila. This is what I do, blah, blah, blah. Like, why would I do that? And so um I wish I had that. I wish I had a community of people who sort of went through the process of like being an international student to say, oh, like these are the mistakes I made and I don't want you to make them. So here are tips and bits and tricks.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, but it's okay. I mean, I learned in like what, year 3 or year 4. It wasn't too late, but
Yeah, it's always better late than never, right? So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I guess that still counts. So now we are at our final question, right? And
Okay.
so it's one on a very light side, and
Mhm.
it is your funniest memory um, of you just being here in the US, essentially.
Ooh. Okay, yeah. I do have a funny Ah, I have a lot of funny moments, but
I'm
I do
sure.
remember this one in particular because it takes a lot to get me to laugh and cry at the same time. It takes a lot. Like you have to have talent. Shout out to my friend Iggy. He was visiting me from Boston and then he was like, hey, do you want to do something fun together? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, what do you want to do? He's like, I don't know. Do you have like anything you want to do in particular? Now I'm a sushi person, like any day.
I did not know that.
Yes, I am a sushi person. And they had this restaurant called Volcano, right by school, and they was it like during weekdays? Yeah, during weekdays they offered like a buffet style, so you could pay $20 for all you can eat sushi. Like
Mm.
I'm telling you, like they had appetizers with the sushi. So you could get crab ragoons, edamame, and some other things that were in the menu. But then, like some, it's like half of the menu was like raw fish and half of the menu was like actually cooked something. So you would like um cooked eel or cooked shrimp or cooked something else.
Mhm.
Um, but for some people, you need to develop an acquired taste for sushi. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go to Volcano. It's the absolute best. It's $20. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. Now we get to Volcano and he's like, Malala, what would you recommend? So I told him, hey, I've gone through this before. What kind of palates do you have? And he's like, I'm adventurous. I'm like, are you sure? Okay, let's go. So I told him to order crab ragoons, but he was like, nah, I'm gonna be more adventurous than you. I'm gonna get seaweed. I'm like, seaweed? Okay. I haven't tried seaweed before, but sure. So he ordered seaweed. And then he ordered like some other like raw fish parts.
Mm.
Yeah, I can't remember the names right now, but it was like the fish was like on rice.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, yeah, and so he got it, and oh my god, lo and behold, like he tasted the seaweed. Like you could just see like the utmost like disgust in his face. Like he was, and it's sad because he was like, I'm your friend and this is what you love. So I'm going to be here with you, enjoying this experience. Well, you could tell that he was dying on the inside. So like I was just laughing and crying. It was so funny. But that's one thing I will say. Like when you come to the US, like be adventurous and try new things, but don't be like too adventurous. Me, I'm adventurous with food. So I'm even trying to start like a food blog because yeah, I wanna know like for me that's how I enjoy different cultural experiences like through food.
Mm.
Um and sometimes like I would like steal some things. I'm like, oh okay, so tonight I'm going to have Mexican night, make some tacos, shrimp fajitas, something different. Um
Nice.
yeah, yeah. That was my funniest moment. Yeah.
Nice. Well, yeah, this has been a very interesting conversation. Like I got to learn some things about you that I didn't really know. For example, the sushi thing. So that and thank you for sharing all that. It was
Yeah.
really interesting. So for our viewers, I mean, this is what it is. We would have talks like this every week where we have a new guest come on and they share their experiences as well. So I want to encourage you to stay tuned. Join us whenever we have these conversations. If you have any thoughts, comments, feedback, questions, feel free to leave it in the comments, or you can reach out to us at Hey Lendish on Instagram. We also have a website, Lendish .app, so you can check it out as well. And I'd say until next week, we hope to see you. All right, take care, Emma. Bye.
Okay, bye.